a word, you've got to know that He gave it from the sense of who He is. God is the master builder. He's the master builder, and He loves to start a work. But what I found out about God is He's really good at finishing the work. In fact, His grade point average is a 4.0 in finishing the work. He never begins something without He is able to also finish it. And you read this all throughout the Bible, you see that God is one that is a master builder. He loves to begin things. He also loves to finish it. You read in Genesis, as we are introduced to God the Creator, we are introduced to Him as a master builder. We see Him. It opens up in Genesis 2. In Genesis 1 and 2, we see Him. He is building. The Bible said that He is working. He is making things. Genesis 2:1, after He had looked at everything that He had made, He looked at it and said, this is very good. And the Bible said in Genesis 2:1 that He finished the work. He's a master builder who loves to finish. He doesn't get any joy from starting something and stopping halfway. He loves to finish what He starts. You read it, you can go all the way over into the New Testament. When Jesus came to this earth, He came to this earth as a man. You remember what Jesus was before they hung Him on the cross? Before we knew Him as Savior, people around Him knew Him as Jesus the carpenter.
Hallelujah.
He's just built up in Him. He loves to build things. You trace His steps all the way to the cross. He came as a man, Jesus. He's a carpenter all the way to the cross. You find Him on 2 wooden beams, nails driven in His hands by a hammer. These are tools that are familiar to a builder. They're not very far from the mind of a builder. And then you go on over into the book of Revelation, and you find out that Revelation 22 reads like this. He said, behold, I'm coming quickly. Jesus speaking. He said, my reward is with me to give everyone according to his work. He said, I am the... Now wait a second. This is at the end of the book. At the end of the revelation of Jesus, He said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, and the first and the last. So I come to tell you this morning that God from Genesis to Revelation is a God who loves to start something, but He also has the tools to finish the work that He started. He's a God that knows how to get things done.
Hallelujah.
Just give Him a chance.
Hallelujah.
Can you give Him a chance? Can we give Him room to finish what He started? Now here was the word. God said, I will finish what I started. Now that's a good point to make. That's a good word for God to give us, because we see what He's done. We see His hand in everything that He has worked, and how He's provided, and how He's blessed, and how He's moved. We see everything that He's done. But if it don't hurry up quick enough, we tend to get a little discouraged and a little despondent, and we want to sit down and say, God, You brought me this far to leave me. The God of the Bible doesn't back that up. The God of the Bible backs up that He is able to complete that which He began.
Hallelujah.
Hebrews said He is the author and the finisher of my faith. Honey, if He poured a foundation, you ain't got to worry that God knows how to finish.
Hallelujah.
How many of you have ever drove by a place and you seen a sign out there that said, so-and-so coming soon? They bought an empty plot of land, and so-and-so coming soon, financed by so-and-so bank. And you drive by there a year later, and it still says something coming soon, but the finance by sign is gone. Something's done happened. They ain't got nothing poured, they ain't got nothing started. All that's been happening there now is weeds is growing. It's a sign that somewhere along the way they missed it. Somewhere along the way they didn't count the cost in the beginning to know how to work and to build what they had. They may have had the plans and the blueprints made out, but somewhere they missed it. I've come to tell you, when God puts out His sign and says something's coming soon, you can bank on it, honey. Something's going to be there one of these days. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next week. But honey, it will be there. When God says it's ready, it'll be there. He's a master builder. He loves to finish things. He loves to get things going. He loves to finish what he starts. He's a worker. I'm one of his projects.
Me.
Don't worry. He's still working on me. He's not finished yet. In the text that we read, in verse number 3, Paul is pointing out to the people. I love how he begins this because he has a word for these people. And that word revolves around this. God's going to finish what he started. God's able to complete it. That's the word. But he introduces this letter to the Philippians. And he is reminding the church at Philippi how caring Christ is. Let me show you. He said, I thank God upon every remembrance of you. Always in every prayer of mine, making request for you all with joy. He is showing the church that he cares because Christ cares. Now let me show you how this thing begins, how every work of God begins. The work of God begins by his constant care. Remember that. Let me break it down real good for you. God cares about you. He cares about your life. He cares about where you're going.
Hallelujah.
He cares about making goals and plans for you. In fact, the word would bear out through the prophet Jeremiah that he has good plans in store for you. He has plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you a future and a hope. The prophet said, God is a builder who has good things in store for you. And it's all because he cares for you constantly. Notice what Paul said, the words that he uses in 3 and 4. He says, I thank God upon every remembrance of you, always in every prayer for all of you with all joy. Paul is saying here, there is not one thing or one person left out because of the constant care of Christ. We are cradled in his constant care. Here's the foundation of what God is doing. It is that we are cradled in his constant care. I don't know why, Pastor, that word kept ringing in my spirit. It just kept churning, cradled in his constant care. I looked that word up, and to be cradled means it's a place where something begins. It's something that is used to hold or support something else. Here is the encouragement for you. He cares for you. He began the work on his care for you. And if he cared enough to begin the work, then he will cradle you in his constant care until he finishes the work. In other words, friend, you have support this morning. You have encouragement to keep on keeping on. You don't have to lay your head down in shame and embarrassment because God hadn't finished the work yet. If he began it, it is a testimony that he cares enough about me and where I am. And if he cared enough to start it, his care will carry me until it's completed.
Hallelujah.
That's not a word we use very often, to be cradled. We've heard from the cradle to the grave. We talk about a cradle for the baby. But all it means is it is something that is supporting us, something that is holding us. We are cradled in his constant care. That's the first thing. If you're taking notes, I want to leave with you. He will finish the work because you are cradled in his constant care. That's the foundation of the work. Now we're going to move on. The second thing I want to leave with you. And I've only got 3 things and I'll be out of your way. But the second thing I want to leave with you this morning is not only that you are cradled in his constant care, but you can have confidence in his completion. You can have confidence in his completion. I want to say it one more time.
Hallelujah.
Because somebody needs to know that you can have confidence in his completion.
Hallelujah. Amen, amen,
Let me tell
amen.
you a story to kind of drive this point home. Me and the wife had gone out shopping on Black Friday that now begins on Wednesday or Thursday. I hadn't figured that out, but somehow we went shopping on Thanksgiving night and we found a great deal on a picture to hang on the wall. She calls it a mirror. I call it, it hangs on the wall, it's a picture. So I'm hanging this picture, she said, it's a mirror. I'm hanging this mirror on the wall. And I get my level out. So when I'm hanging it, I want to make sure, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist in things that don't matter. Now, if something really matters, I probably don't care too much. I don't tend to follow the rules. But if it's something that don't really matter, I'll follow the book. So here I am. I've got my level out. And I'm putting this picture on the wall. But get this. Because I live with a sweet sugar booger who loves me, she likes to help me with everything. And she's helping me hang this mirror on the wall. It's a miracle we're not still there. But we get it up. And I'm standing up on it, and she's back at the other end of the bedroom. And she's saying, okay, up on this side, down on that side. Well, I've got my level right in front of me. So I put a screw there, I hang it, I got my level. It's perfect. Man, I am happy, Pastor. That mirror is perfect. Honey Bun is back there saying, it's still crooked. It's still crooked. Something's wrong. So I move it up a little bit, and I say, look, I mean, it is level. That little bubble, that's the technical term. That little bubble right there is right in the middle of those two little lines. I don't know a whole lot, but that means it's level. And I said, honey, it's level. And she's back there. She's like, well, come back here and you'll see. I said, honey, I don't need to come back there. I'm looking and it's level. And she said, in that moment, she said, but look at the facing. You measure to that facing and it's crooked. And it dawned on me that what she was looking at was a crooked facing. So I take my little level and I put it on the facing, and sure enough, it's off just enough to where my eagle-eye wife can see that picture ain't level with that facing. Now here's the sad part. I'm not a builder. Anybody here ever built something? You built something, haven't you? Yeah, birdhouse with a crooked roof and yeah, gotcha. I thought, that's good, because when I said that to her, I said, I didn't even put the level on. I said, the facing must be crooked. And she just looked at me like, what? You idiot? You know? And I put the level on and I realized it was crooked. And I got to thinking, it didn't hit me till the next morning. We got on and by the way, the mirror is level. The door is still crooked. Because I ain't going there. It's not off far enough. If you come there now, you're going to be looking. Hey, where's that? You can't see it. If we left the mirror on the floor, you wouldn't be able to tell the door was crooked. But I got to thinking the next morning as I'm shaving at the sink, I thought that mirror, that facing is crooked because a man built that house. Now I figured I'd get some women to say amen right there. There could have been some women involved too. But my point is the facing was crooked because people built that house. God didn't build that house. He built the home that is labeled, that is residing inside the house, but He didn't build the house. If He had built the house, we wouldn't have had to worry about any crooked faces. But because people had a hand in building that house, we almost had an intense moment of fellowship.
Mm-hmm.
People will always mess up. One reason why the church is not perfect is because it's full of a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
Hallelujah. Thank God we could find a perfect church. And one pastor said when I was a kid, if you find a perfect church, don't ever go there because you'll mess it up. And how many times has it happened? Time and again. People just mess up. Nobody is perfect. So we have crooked facings in our home. Things mess up. Things don't always go as planned. They don't always get finished as planned. Doesn't everything always work out as planned? Because those plans are simply made by people who are not perfect. The good news is we've got a master builder. If we follow Him, He'll finish everything to completion.
Hallelujah.
Finish the work.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what I want to leave you with in that point. There's a couple of things that will help you in this building process. Number one, get you a level. Get you a good level.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Get you a level, and I've got another level. It's a level checking level. If one ain't level, get the other one. You find out it's level. Let me show you what I mean, because somebody's sitting there thinking, well, man, that table is level. Somebody's sitting there thinking, I'm not building no house, preacher. What are you talking about? I'm talking about getting you a real good level.
Hallelujah. Glory, glory.
Woo! Real good. I'm talking about a perfect level that supersedes everything else. If something ain't going right and you don't know why it's not finished, what is the hold up, God? Get the level out, and when what you're doing ain't lining up with the book, then straighten up what you're doing. If what you're doing is lining up with the book, then just keep on trucking, honey, because God's going to finish the work.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Glory, glory, glory.
Wouldn't God that this country, that this community would just grab the level and know that God knows how to straighten everything that's crooked right up. Hallelujah.
Glory.
He knows how to straighten it up. This is a mess, preacher. My life's a mess. My family's a mess. It's all a bunch of there's a bunch of crooked people running around here. That's because they ain't got a good level. To straighten it out. But I'll tell you this. I've done some pretty crooked things in my life. Don't look at me like that. You have too. Not this guy. But everybody else. Done some pretty funny stuff. No, we didn't rob a bank. Knock nobody in the head, but we all are a little crooked sometimes. And we need straightening out. Get the book. We'll straighten it out. Get the level. Here's another two thing that'll help. You get that level. And then another thing that might really help you is to get Rhonda to come over and be the inspector. Now, hold on. I'm going somewhere with that. Because in case she's busy and she can't get away from getting all of my stuff straight to come and work on all your stuff, let me tell you what I mean. You just need to get you somebody around you that will help you when things ain't going right. Get you a good level. I know people are messed up, but you got you a good level. Now grab you another one of them imperfect people that you can pull around you to help you know when you're making a bad decision. Wait a second, preacher, you telling me to get advice? The Proverbs said that there is safety in the multitude of counselors. That means it comes a point where you ought to ask somebody what they think about where you are and where you're going. In other words, ask some advice. Now here's the tricky part. We don't have a hard time asking advice. You say, yeah, we do. No, we really don't. How many times have you said to someone, or someone said to you, what do you think about this? Come on. Now here's the tricky part. What did you do when you got the advice? I read somewhere that good advice is like medicine from the doctor. It don't help if you don't take it. Oh, thank you, Pastor. You gave me some good advice, and I've been here where I got good advice, but I still, like a hard-headed, stubborn dummy, went and did it what I was going to do to start with. What happened, Richard? I had regrets. What am I saying to you? You could save yourself some regrets if you'd grab a level and if you'd grab somebody to come alongside you and just help you when things, in other words, to just help straighten you out. Oh, I just thought about this. Daddy's here. He liked to, I was born in the 80s. And that was back apparently when parents still whipped their kids. And no, I know we can't do that now. Don't put them in a timeout. Put their nose in a corner. Mm-hmm. Hey, all time in a corner would do for me is just give me a chance to think of more stuff I could get into. But I remember Daddy saying, you better straighten it up. Yeah. You better straighten that up. Quit crying. I'm going to give you something to cry about. Yeah. Y'all heard that too, didn't you? Yeah. And to bring somebody alongside that helps straighten it out. Did it hurt? Yeah, it hurt. No medicine tastes real good if it helps real good. But you'll learn. And you may just be able to build on a more solid foundation if you can get you a good level. And get you somebody around you. The Word said in Proverbs, wait, hold on a second. Because I want to give you this exact verse. I'm sorry, I can't remember it. Proverbs 27:17. You know what the Word said? It said, iron sharpens iron. In fact, the whole thing said, as iron sharpens iron, so a man will sharpen the countenance on his friend's face. The purpose of our friendships ought to be to sharpen each other according to the will and plan of God in our life. If we'll do that, we'll build a stronger church. And if we have a stronger church, we'll have a stronger country.
Hallelujah.
And we'll have a stronger home. Hallelujah. Just quit being selfish. Mm-hmm. Quit being stubborn. Grab a level. Ask somebody for directions. Mm-hmm. And then listen to what somebody says. Because it could be that you've been through what I'm going through. And if I'll listen to you, you might can help me. I've got confidence in His completion. Yeah. He knows how to perfect it. Yeah. And I'm closing with this one. I'm cradled in His constant care. I have confidence in His completion. But what's this? I've got to go here because it's going to tell you exactly how the thing's going to be finished. I have confirmation of His gospel. I have confirmation of His gospel. Paul said it very clearly in the text we read. When he's talking to the people there, he says, I have confidence. He says, I'm confident of this very thing, that He who began a good work in you will complete it until the day of Jesus Christ. And he said this, he said, it's good for me to feel this way. It's right. This is the right thing because I have you in my heart. Inasmuch as both in my chains and in the defense and confirmation of the gospel. Not only did he have confidence, but he had a confirmation. Yeah. That confirmation was in the gospel. Now watch what this confirmation is. I believe he points to it like this. He said, you are partakers, all of you with me, of grace. Grace. God's grace. If His care for me will start a work, and my confidence in Him will enable me to keep going, then my confidence in His grace, the confirmation, let me put it this way, the confirmation of the gospel, or the confirmation of His grace will let me know that He will begin it. This is how God finishes a work. It's by His grace.
Amen.
It's by His grace. Let me read to you something that I was reading by A.W. Tozer, who said, he said, God's grace is just as available to one person as it is to the other. The fact that some people are not experiencing the mercy and grace of God in their personal experience is not God's fault. God made a way for us to experience Him in all His fullness. That way is none other than the Lord Jesus Christ, who said, I am the way. God's grace operates in a sphere where human merit cannot enter. It's God's grace. God's grace. We sing the song, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound it saved a wretch like me. I want to ask you this morning, does God's grace still amaze you?
Hallelujah.
Woo! That building that God's been working on, that life that He's been working on, that plan that He's been working on is going to be completed by His grace. I had a dream where me and the Lord stood by to observe a ball game. The Lord's team was playing Satan's team. The Lord's team was at bat. The score was tied 0-0. It was bottom of the ninth inning with 2 outs. We continued to watch as a batter stepped up to the plate. The batter stepped up to the plate. His name was Love. Love swung at the first pitch and he hit a single because love never fails. We sat watching still. The next batter was named Faith. Faith also hit a single because faith works with love. The next batter up was Godly Wisdom. Satan wound up to throw his first pitch, and Godly Wisdom looked it over and let it pass. Ball 1. 3 more pitches, and Godly Wisdom walked because Godly Wisdom never swings at what Satan throws. The bases were loaded. The Lord then turned to me and told me, said, Aaron, I'm going to bring out my star player. I'm thinking, who in the world? And up to the plate stepped Grace. I said, Lord, he sure doesn't look like much. Satan's whole team relaxed when they saw Grace. Thinking he had won the game, Satan wound up and fired his first pitch. Nothing, very seldom anything would get through his star pitcher. To the shock of everyone, Grace hit the ball harder than anyone had ever seen, but Satan even then wasn't worried because his center fielder let very few ever get by. He went for the ball, but it went right through his glove. It whopped him on the head and sent him crashing to the ground, and it continued over the fence for a home run. The Lord's team had won. The crowds cheered. A smile came across my face. Joy leapt in my heart. And the Lord then turned to me and asked me if I knew why love and faith and Godly Wisdom could get on base but couldn't win the game. I answered, Lord, I don't know why. And the Lord then lovingly explained to me, if your love and faith and your wisdom had won the game, you would think that you had done it by yourself. Love, faith, and wisdom will get you on base, but only my grace can get you home. Satan cannot stop my grace. Ooh. Can I tell you this morning, grace is going to finish this thing. Grace is going to finish. Can I get the musicians to come back? Hallelujah. Grace is going to finish this thing. I want to read you this one last verse.
Amen, amen.
Here's what the Bible said about grace. The prophet Zechariah, who's one of those minor prophets, but he has a major word. You remember these words? We used to have these in the old church. We had these words on a banner posted up on the wall. It said, this is the word of the Lord, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Who are you, O great mountain? He's letting the prophet know that somebody started this work and it's going to be finished. He said, the hands of Zerubbabel started this work. They laid the foundation and he'll also finish it. Good news is you may not be Zerubbabel, but you're you. And you put your name right there. And it says, who are you, O great mountain? Before David Walker, you shall become a plain, and he shall bring forth a capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it. Put your name there. Who are you, O great mountain, before Anita Walker? You shall become a plain, and she'll go forth with shouts of grace, grace to it. Sue Ann, put it right there. Who is that great mountain before Sue Ann? Put your name right there. Who are you, great mountain, before Rhonda? You shall become a plain, and she'll go forth, bring the capstone with shouts of grace, grace to it. That word capstone is very needy. Very neat word. Because that's the crowning achievement. That means it's finished from the foundation. Woo. Oh, hallelujah. He will finish the work, church.
Hallelujah.
You'll go forth with shouts of grace. How's it going to happen, David? How's it going to happen, Anita? God's grace is still amazing enough to complete what He started in these last days. He's a God of grace. Woo! Hallelujah. Come on, stand to your feet and give God praise. Come on, just give